Hi everyone, welcome to a new series. The series is going to be an introduction to the Feldenkrais Method, and I'm going to be teaching, I'm not sure exactly how many yet, but I'm going to be teaching probably about once or twice a week, maybe even 3 times if I can get the schedules right. Hi Wild Swan. Yeah, so because I was planning on doing these at 11 in the morning, and now that I'm doing this lesson at 6, some people have obviously asked if there will be continuing lessons at 11 in the morning. So I may go back and do some at 11 and some at 6, but I kind of want to play with the different time slots to see if there's different people available as well. So thank you very much for tuning in. Today's lesson is going to be a lesson lying down on your back. So if you can, find some mat to lie on, and when you're ready, lie down on your back, and we'll begin the lesson. So the subject, I'll give you a minute or so to do that. The subject of today's lesson is going to be about gravity. My personal history, one of the things that I've done in my life is studied anthropology, and I studied biological anthropology, and part of the subjects that you study in biological anthropology is human evolution. So if I'm thinking about Feldenkrais from an evolutionary perspective, I'm very much thinking about how the human form developed and what movement is. So an example would be we see creatures with no skeleton swimming in the ocean, like, for example, a jellyfish. And that creature would have no skeletal structure, wouldn't be able to move on land, and the reason for that is the force of gravity. So gravity has some effect on us, and the solution that we've come up with over the years is, in order to move through through space with the effect of gravity acting on us, we need a skeleton, and we need the force of a skeleton to hold us upright. The other aspect to do with movement is that we need a muscular system, and the muscular system is affecting the skeletal system, and the combination of those two things allow us to navigate and move in gravity. So that as a little introduction. What I'd like you to do is lie on your back. If you need some supports for your head, you can have a little towel behind your head. Anything that isn't too hard and isn't too soft. You don't want to be lying on a pillow at the back of your head because maybe it doesn't give the same sense of contact. So hi, Louise. Thanks for tuning in, guys. It's nice to see people here at 6 o'clock, and I hope you enjoy this lesson. So what I'd like you to do initially, as you lie there on your back, is just bring your attention to your sense of contact with the floor. And as you bring your attention there, obviously bringing your attention kind of more internally, away from your external world or the things that have happened to you throughout the day, and just bringing your attention back to your body. And in the most simple way, it's contact with the floor. So again, because I can't see the people in the lesson, I'm going to give these instructions, and if I'm going too fast, I'll try and slow down. Great. So as you lie there, just feel which parts of your body are in contact with the floor. Can you feel the back of your head against the floor? Can you feel what part of your shoulder or your shoulder blades is in contact with the floor? Can you feel that as you move your attention down through your torso, maybe into your lower back area, that there's some lifting away from the floor? There isn't a sense of full contact, and it's going to be different for everyone. Some people's lower backs will be very lifted away from the floor. Some people's will be slightly closer, but just feel what that is for you. As you move your attention further down your body, feeling into your pelvis and the contact with the back of the pelvis and the floor. and then continuing further down, bringing your attention to how your legs make contact with the ground. So this is giving you some overall sense of your body in this position in gravity. You're lying down, you're not holding yourself upright. So your base of support is very, very wide. Okay, that's an important aspect. In this position, your base of support is very wide. And what that does is it provides a real feeling of stability and safety. Okay, so if you have gone through that process of bringing your attention to all the points of contact you feel, can you spread your attention out and feel them all at the same time? So we moved through them sequentially, but now can you bring into your attention, bring into your awareness, an overall sense of how you make contact with the ground? Great. So maybe you feel some change already just from bringing your attention to that part of yourself and feeling yourself lying in this position. Some of you may be very familiar with Feldenkrais, some of you less familiar. And what we're going to do in these lessons is really just kind of explore some of the fundamental ideas in Feldenkrais and why those ideas, or why that principle, or that aspect of the method is very useful and really worthwhile thinking about. So today we're going to look at our relationship with gravity a little. What I'd like you to do is begin by lifting your head very gently away from the floor. And when I say very gently, I mean try and lift your head only maybe 1 millimeter away from the floor, and then bring it back down and notice how your body reacts as you put your head back down on the floor. So I'd like you to try this just a couple of times. You may feel that it's very difficult to lift your head in this position. You may feel that you could feel some degree of ease, but just experience it and try and do a small movement. So it's literally just lifting the head a tiny bit away and then bringing it back down to the ground. And notice as you continue to lift your head in this way, very small amount, does that affect your breathing? Do you kind of tense up in order to mobilize your head? Okay, bring your head down and take a rest. And notice as you take your head down and you rest it back on the floor, does your breathing recover? Or is there some sense that as you recover that base of support, that wider base of support, there's some sense of safety that's available to you that isn't available as much when you're lifting your head? Great. So just give yourself a moment to recover, let your breathing recover. Now what I'd like you to do is bring both feet to standing. So if you bend both of your knees, bring both of your feet to standing. So your feet are on the floor, the soles of your feet are on the floor, and your knees are bent. And then I'd like you just to very gently, very lightly begin to lift your head again. And do it a couple of times. Again, following that same principle, not lifting too much. You really only want to lift maybe 1 millimeter, 2 millimeters, 0.5 centimeter at the maximum. So the feet are on the floor and now you're lifting your head in this way. And notice if there's any difference. Has it in some way become easier now that your feet are rested closer to you when before they were further away from you? Great. Just do it a few times. Take your time, paying attention to the process, the quality of the movement, feeling like the outward journey of lifting the head and the backwards journey, putting the head back down, can be relatively the same in terms of pace and quality. It's great. So bring your head down and take a rest. Take a rest. And notice, did lifting the head become easier? Is it feeling more difficult? What's your experience of lifting the head? So in relation to gravity, obviously the head is a very heavy object. And through the act of lifting your head away from the ground, you are actively kind of going against the gravitational force and bringing your body into action or into movement. What you'll notice as you do that, and when we go back to it, what I want you to notice is where in your body, in terms of as you lift your head, where in your body feels that it presses down more into the ground. So as you lift something, you lift the heavy object of your head, other parts of your body will have to be taking the support. What I want you to do as you go back to lifting the head now is feel as you lift the head where, maybe for example in your chest or in your lower back or in your pelvis, feels that the pressure increases slightly. So just do it a few times. Good. As you continue to lift the head in this position, maybe you can notice your breathing. As you lift the head, do you breathe in or do you breathe out as you lift? Try both. So as you lift the head first, try breathing in. And then the next time you lift the head, try breathing out. And see which one of those two options feels better to you. When I was preparing this lesson, reading a little some of the ideas that Feldenkrais had around gravity, there was a big sense that as you make that movement and you mobilize the head in this way, that in some way you're working to increase the mobility or the flexibility of your chest and your spine. And his point was that, I don't know, it's something to do with our modern lifestyles, that our chests, our breathing, and our spine are a lot less flexible than they could be potentially. So this process of lifting the head, as you lift the head, the front of the chest will fold slightly. Maybe you feel some changing of shape in your rib cage. And you also feel that the spine, further down the spine, maybe is pressing down into the ground as you lift the head. Okay, take a rest. So I've done most of these lessons in sitting or a breathing lesson, and it's quite weird to teach a lying down lesson where I can't actually see anyone. So I'm kind of enjoying that and not enjoying that right now. So what I'd like you to do now is bring both of your hands and interlace them. Interlace them so that the fingers are interconnected, and then take your hands and bring them behind your head so that you feel like your hands are holding the back of your head. You can have your elbows a little together, so they're not wide apart, they're a little together, closer together. And then just go back to this process of lifting the head. Notice whether you breathe in or breathe out. I would try a few times the process of out breathing. So as you lift the head away from the floor and you've got your feet standing, your knees bent, can you breathe out as you lift your head? And then as you bring your head back to the ground and you've got a wider base of support, again, as you're in a safer, more stable position, Then you can allow the in-breath, and the in-breath will fully come in very naturally. And then as you go into movement, you're lifting the head, compressing the chest slightly, allow the breath to come out. So feel that you can kind of fold the chest and expel air at the same time. And just do that a few times. As you continue to lift your head, feel which parts of the back of you are pressing more into the ground. Can you feel any sense of increase in pressure in the back of your chest, in the back of your ribs, or even in your lower back? Good. Bring your hands down, bring your head down, bring your legs down, and take a full rest. And notice as you bring everything kind of back down to the floor, how does the floor feel? What's your relationship like now with the floor? It's kind of one of the unique features of the Feldenkrais method is that we do a lot of lessons lying down. And one of the kind of beautiful aspects of that is that as you lie down, you reduce the amount of effort that your body is putting out in order to keep you upright. So in some way, lying down allows your system to be a lot quieter. And that's a really good starting point if you want to learn and change. The other aspect that obviously we're covering today is this kind of concept of gravity. And hopefully what you can feel is that, in order to mobilize this heavy object of the head, the body needs to be involved. It's not just a movement of your neck muscles, that in some way it really involves the whole of your body, even your legs. Good. So keep lying there, have your arms down by your side, but bring your legs back to standing so that your 2 feet, the soles of your feet are on the floor and your knees are bent. Very gently begin to lift 1 foot away from the floor. Let's say you're going to lift your right foot away from the floor. As you lift the right foot away from the floor, notice when you lift something that something else presses down into the ground. So can you feel in the back of the pelvis or the lower back, can you feel some increase in pressure, increase in contact with the floor as you lift the right foot away from the floor? And where does the pressure increase the most? That's great. And let the right leg rest now. Once you've done that a few times, when you're ready, just take a breath, take a moment to pause. And then when you're ready, begin to lift the left foot away from the floor. Noticing how as you lift the left foot, the body changes, adapts to that position, that new position, and maybe your center of gravity changes a little as well. Great. So just do it a few times, lift the left foot and then place it back onto the ground. Again, it doesn't need to be a big movement. You could lift maybe 0.5 centimeter, 1 centimeter, 1 inch maximum. What I want you to notice as you lift the left foot away from the floor is what's happening in your back, what's happening in the back of your pelvis, your lower back. Is there some sense of increased pressure? Great. Take a rest from doing that. Interlace your hands again and place them behind your head. Interlace your hands and place them behind your head. When you're ready, what I'd like you to do is begin to lift just the right foot again at the same time as you lift your head. So you lift the right foot at the same time as you lift your head. And so this is lifting two parts of the body at the same time, away from gravity. How is your body getting support? As you lift parts of your body away, the support has to change, okay? And your center of gravity has to change as well. So feel that as you lift your head and your feet or your right foot away from the ground, there's some change in how you're getting support for your body. And there's maybe some change in the center of yourself, where you feel the center of yourself. Do that movement a few times. The head, lifting the head with the support of the hands and lifting the right foot at the same time. Good. When you've done it a few times, take a little rest. Bring your foot back down onto the ground, bring your head back down onto the ground. Take a short rest. And how are you in contact with the floor now? What's your sense of the floor? What's your relationship? What's your developing relationship like with the floor? Good. When you're ready, bring your hands, interlace your hands again, bring them behind your head. If you want, you can change the interlacing of your fingers. So if the right index finger was on top before, change it so the left index finger is on top. And now what I'd like you to do is lift your head again. Again, if you can, do it with the out breath, but at the same time, begin to lift the left foot away from the floor. So you're lifting the head and the foot at the same time. Feel that as these two sides of you kind of lift up, that there's some folding into the middle happening. Yeah, these two opposing sides of your body lifting up away from gravity. Where is the middle of you as you do that? Can you feel the back of your ribs increase in pressure against the floor? Can you feel the lower back increase in pressure? And is it possible for you to breathe out as you lift? Great. So if any of you are watching on coming to the lesson a little bit late, we're lying on our backs and just going through a process of lifting different parts of our body away from the floor, seeing how it affects our sense of contact with the floor. Okay. Bring your hands down, bring your head down, take a rest. And what I'd like you to do, if you leave your 2 feet standing, is it possible for you to lift both feet away from the floor at the same time? As you lift both feet away from the floor, again, can you feel that there's some change in the position of your pelvis, how the back of your pelvis is in contact with the floor, and maybe even you feel some increase in pressure in your lower back and the lower ribs. Great. Just do that movement a couple of times. Can you lift up your legs together? Is it possible for your back to provide support for the lifting of your legs? And where in your back do you feel the most sense of increase in pressure? Good. Bring your legs down, take a short rest. Let your breath recover slightly. When you're ready, interlace your fingers and bring them behind your head. So again, you're supporting the back of your head. Supporting the back of your head. Your 2 feet are on the floor And I'd like you to, at the same time as lifting your head, lift both feet away from the floor. Very gently, very lightly. Doesn't need to be a big movement, but maybe you feel the lightness of the two sort of furthest edges of the body increase as the middle of the body improves or develops more flexibility, more mobility than it had at the beginning of the lesson. So as you lift these two sides of you away from gravity, can you feel that the middle of you is really becoming your base of support? And this is in some way highlighting or indicating where your center of gravity is as well. Great. Once you've done it a few times, bring your legs down, bring your head down, and take a rest. Take a long rest. And feel as you return to the floor, you return your legs to the floor, you return your head to the floor, your arms to the floor. How does the floor feel to you now? Is there a different sense of support that you're getting from the floor at the end of the lesson than you were getting at the beginning of the lesson? Great. There's one final thing to do. So what I'd like you to do is very gently just lift your head with your legs long and your arms down by your side. And that's the same thing, the same initial movement that we tried. And just see if there's some change in the ability, your own sense of how well you're doing the movement. See if something's changed from the beginning of the lesson. Does your head feel lighter now than it did when we started doing this? So this principle, and when you've done that a couple of times, you can take a rest. But hopefully, lifting your head became easier. And one of the things that is kind of key in the Feldenkrais method is this sense of organization, improved organization, giving us access to improved ability. So as we go through this process of lifting these different parts of our body, what happens is our body organizes better, adapts to the requirements of gravity better. It becomes organized. So as you go through this process, hopefully as you feel your head becoming lighter, you're internally becoming better organized to mobilize yourself within the effects of gravity. Okay. So just let yourself experience your connection with the floor. And before you get up, we're going to get up in a moment, but just think in this position, you're lying on your back, think what you would feel like now in standing. Can you imagine yourself in standing from this position? How would you feel? How stable would you feel? How adaptable would you feel? Because when we do come up to standing, there's a real shift in our relationship to gravity. And instead of having this kind of wide base of support when we're lying on our back, we come into this position having quite a small or narrow base of support from our feet. So when you're ready, I'd like you to kind of make your way up to standing. If you want, first you can roll on your side and then come to sitting first and then to standing. And just stand for a moment. Once you come up to standing, stand for a moment and just feel what your experience of your body is like in standing. Do you feel that same sense of organization that you felt on the floor has transferred in some way into this upright position? How does your head feel? Does it feel organized through your spine, into your pelvis, down through your legs and into the ground? And if you just begin to very gently take a little walk where you are, and just feel kind of what's your ability to move like? Do you feel organized? Does it feel light? Great. So this is like one of the main Feldenkrais principles, that the more organized you become, the easier your movement becomes. And that, I think, is something that is very worthwhile sharing with the world. So I'm hoping that you found that within this lesson. And maybe if you're interested, you can pass on this particular lesson to other people. You could share this information about the Feldenkrais method. Send it out into the world, because I think it's a really useful method for helping us live better. So thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'd love to hear from you in the comments if you have any comments or ideas about how I could improve that lesson. This is the first one I've taught live on Facebook, lying down. So I'd be very keen on hearing how you found it, how my pacing was. Yeah, it'd be great to get your feedback. So thank you for watching. As I go through these, I'll put links to how to access the lessons and how to make a donation to my PayPal account as well, if you'd like to do that. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments what you thought, and I will be back with another lesson. I think I'm going to teach on Wednesday. So I don't think I'm going to be doing every day this week. I think I'll teach 3 days a week. Great. I'm glad to hear the feedback was good. Thanks for watching, Gerald. Thanks for watching Wild Song. Sorry. It's a pleasure to have people interacting with it as well. So thank you. I appreciate that. Great. So have a lovely rest of the week, and I will see you on Wednesday. I'm thinking I might do a Wednesday morning lesson, but I will post in advance so people know when it is. Okay. Take care. See you soon. Bye.